Hey guys, Super Rugby Pacific round 14 is wrapped up. In this video, I will be looking at who the top scoring players were for Fantasy Super Rugby in each position, see if there's anything we can learn from this round's action. Then after that, I will be reviewing the top teams in my league. Maybe your team is there. Always interesting to see what other people are picking and how people are thinking. Anyway, let's jump right into it. And it wasn't a great round for me this week, under 500 points at 485. Top scoring players this round has a bit of a Crusaders flavor to it. 4 Crusaders players in the top dozen or so. The rest of them kind of spread out amongst the other teams. A couple of Moana players here and a couple of Hurricanes players. And yeah, it was the Hurricanes that I really doubled down on for this round. I really thought they would go big this game and just put the Highlanders to the sword, but that did not happen. The Highlanders, they turned up and they fought, and yeah, the Hurricanes, they really struggled, especially in that first half. Got a little bit better in the second, but yeah, really bombed for a lot of these Hurricanes picks. Balin Sullivan, midfielder starting on the wing, always love those. He went off pretty early after scoring a try, got a nasty head gash. Billy Proctor, been so solid since he's come back, did not really get a big return for us this week. But for me, I went with Nani Punavai. I actually captained him, thinking because he was in that left wing slot, he'll get all the action that Kenny Naholo would have got. And yeah, he just did not get anything going his way. Went off, picked up an ankle injury apparently, battled through to halftime and then just couldn't carry on. So yeah, 8 points with the double captain's bonus for me, and that just really ruined my round. Cam Roigard though, he was the one who got pretty much all the points along with Ruben Love for the Hurricanes in that matchup. And yeah, I mean, we all know how good Cam Roigard is, especially in fantasy. He's always the guy. But unfortunately, that means in a relative sense, we don't really get ahead of other players because everybody knows that about Roigard. There is no secret there. And yeah, it turns out the game this week that all the scoring sort of happened in, Crusaders were the team to pick. And I mean, I was aware of this. I was a little bit wary with the Crusaders having some big names out, with the Waratahs being strong at home, with the chance of a bit of moisture, which there was. But yeah, the Crusaders, they were still too strong, and we can see Johnny McNichol, he ended up getting 74 points, one of the top scorers from the round. I did mention him in the best picks video, but I was not bold enough to rate him or recommend him. But yeah, he was very good. He was showing up in all the right spaces, connecting well with his outsides, hitting the gaps when they were there. And yeah, he's a guy to keep in mind going forward. The Crusaders, they're taking on the Highlanders next week, a pretty favorable matchup for them. And yeah, he's a guy who should be on your radar for that one. Same with Revez Reihana as well in the fly half slot. Someone in my comments in the best picks video actually brought up Revez Reihana. I hadn't really thought about him before that point, but yeah, he was spot on. He identified that he went well in that Highlanders game. And yeah, he was starting again against pretty soft opposition for the Crusaders. And yeah, he looked really good as well. Bunch of try assists, defenders beaten. So again, he's another guy that should be on your radar for that Highlanders game next week. One to really, if we look at the fly halves, a lot of people would have been going Barrett this week. He's so solid, and people were expecting the Blues to go well against the Moana, but no, that was a disastrous game for the Blues. Bowden didn't get a lot of points out of it, and even our boy Harkin, for the same reason, Kane's not really firing up against the Highlanders. So yeah, Reihana was by far and away the top scorer in this fly half slot, and if you had him, yeah, you'd definitely be pulling away from the opposition. Only selected by 0.5% of players. And looking at the rest of the back three, Severis, he was there as well. I had him just because, yeah, I still was feeling pretty good about this Crusaders matchup, but there were other matchups more appealing, like the Hurricanes, for example. But yeah, they were the way to go this week. Kyron Talmo fell out also showing up in the second spot for the outside back, 68 points. Yeah, I really didn't see this result coming, Moana versus the Blues. I mean, I knew Moana would turn up, but I still thought it would kind of go the same way as it did last time. But no, it really did not. It was a very different game this time. The Blues did not look good at all, and Moana, they were up for it, led by Ardie with that gigantic performance he put in. But sticking with the outside backs, Ruben Love also did pretty well. I was kind of tossing up between him and Punavai. Ended up sticking with Punavai, even though I knew Ruben Love would end up shifting to fullback later in the game, which he did, and he did quite well from that position as well. Radamai Tavuki-Nikins also doing pretty well. He's been very solid, 45 points. Yeah, he hasn't had a chance to really put on a big, massive score just because Highlanders, they're a weak team, so all their matchups are kind of tough. And yeah, the only sort of soft one they had was against the Draw, where he did really well. But yeah, he remains a very good player and a solid pick. But it's just that, yeah, there aren't really matchups for him to really go crazy and rack up huge scores for us. Tom Wright doing pretty well, 54 points. There was another game for the Brumbies where, yeah, Corey Toole and Muirhead weren't really rating in the action, and that's always the thing with me with the Brumbies. You never really know who in the back three is going to get the points, especially in those tougher games. And then we got Lagona Masi and Ravutau Munda, 36 and 37 respectively. The way that game played out, the Ndrua, they got a lot of points, 38 points to 7. You think their outside backs would have been scoring a lot higher, but yeah, it just wasn't the case, unfortunately. I had Lagona Masi, and I do think just the way that game played out, he should have been a solid pick, but really the Ndrua, they were just running through the force. Like it wasn't about, spreading it to the outsides and finding the space there, at least in the latter half of that game. The Ndrua just running straight through the middle, and that's another result that did sort of surprise me. Not so much the result, but just the manner of it. I did think the Force might fire a few more shots in this game, even if they didn't win in the end, but no, that was not the case at all. Like, yeah, the Drua just ran over them. I kind of thought the Force might also, be able to get the maul going, get a maul try here or there, because that was a big feature of their crushing of the Ndrua in Perth. But they did get the maul going. I mean, I only saw the last sort of third of this game. They did get the maul going late, but the Ndrua were able to stop it successfully. So yeah, just not a great game for the Force at all. Looking at the midfields though, Eno and Masi topping the table at 40 points each. I did give a shout out to Masi. I don't think so I did for Eno, but I mean, all the Crusaders backs were live for this game versus the Waratahs, and yeah, he came out on top. No outrageous scores here though. Pretty quickly you get down to that sort of 30 zone where, you generally expect midfielders to come in. We already talked about the fly halves as well. Revez Rehana, keep him in mind for next week. He's a good option. Roigard ran away with things in the halfback slot, but Tate McDermott didn't put up a bad score, to be honest, 45 points, but yeah, there really is just no contest with Roigard in this competition. And then with the loose forwards on 78, Ardie Savea, with that just gigantic performance he put in against the Blues. I mean, people are saying it's possibly the greatest individual performance of all time. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but it's got to be up there. It was absolutely exceptional, and what a streak he's been on, backing up from that Highlanders game where he also just went beast mode as well, just went completely nuts, doing everything all over the park. And yeah, I really I faded Ardie and the entire Moana back row this week because I was thinking I didn't see any reason why this game wouldn't go the same as it did last time against the Blues at Eden Park. I thought the Blues would be too strong up front. They really nullified the Moana back row, including Ardie, but no, just the complete opposite this game. They turned up and they went crazy. So I had Hoskins Tutu instead of Artie. I was sort of tossing up between the two, even though the play would have been to go for both of them. Instead, I had Leo Willie and Koteka. Picked up Koteka just because he does take that Tizano spot at the back of the maul for the force, and like I mentioned earlier, thought the force might get that maul going, but it did not happen. Therefore, Koteka was a total bust. Leo Willie was a bit of a bust for the Crusaders as well. Did end up getting subbed off, which I didn't really see coming, to be honest, with Callow on the bench, but yeah, that's how it played out. A little bit unfortunate there. Was a good game for the Crusaders, but they were doing it with the backs, not so much the forwards. That said, Thanakai Vada, second place, 64 points. Always been a fan of this guy, but he's never really felt like the best option, just because the Endure in most matchups, they're always struggling up front, but playing the force at home, this would be one of their easier games. And yeah, like I said, when I started watching that sort of second half, the Endure, they were just running straight through them. They were running rampant, and he was one of the guys leading the charge. Got 2 tries that game though, which is where the bulk of his points came from. Hoskins taking out third place, which is pretty good considering how much the Blues were struggling in that game. Like, they were just getting destroyed at the ruck, and I think they gave up like 15 penalties at the end, most of them at the ruck. But yeah, so Tutu, he's always involved in their scoring plays, it feels like, because so much of their scoring comes from that sort of close range forwards grind, and he's very often employed, if not as the ball carrier, but the last pass, whether it's making an offload or, you know, just making that pass after drawing all the attention. Quite often he sort of runs a dummy line as well for the same reason, because he always draws defenders, and we don't get points for that, unfortunately, but this game we did. McWright, again, being very consistent, coming away with another score in the 40s. Can never go wrong with McWright, really. Tom Christie also showing up, and yeah, he's had a few good performances here as well now that he's actually getting some game time. He's always good for a turnover here and there, and in this game he did get a try, which is not something to take for granted. Doesn't really put him on my radar yet, but you know, he's still a guy to not forget about. Kind of the same with Brad Shields, had a good score this week, but yeah, still doesn't break into being one of my preferred guys. And it's the same story with Langi Gleeson as well. Another guy who's like pretty good. You know, he's just a very enthusiastic carrier of the ball, a bit of a beast, and he does get tries here and there. But yeah, just in a team where it's tough to pick him. Miracle not actually getting a lot cooking for himself this week, unlike Artie. And same with Tupou Taaloa as well. So I think kind of fading most of the Moana back row was the right move, but Artie is just such insane form at the moment. He's gone Super Saiyan, man. Like, he really is a must pick now. And Moana, they have such a tough run home. They got to play Chiefs in Hamilton. They got to play Hurricanes in Wellington. I don't know. Like, I don't know if the streak's going to continue. I don't know if Artie can just single-handedly go and dominate these teams in their own territory. I really don't know. But I mean, if he does, it'll be like, it'll just be the greatest thing that's ever happened in Super Rugby, I think. So looking forward to that. Moving on to the locks though, Cullen Grace was the top. He did get a try this week, and yeah, he's a guy, you know, he's always been there or thereabouts with the locks, like not quite in that upper echelon, but always a guy that, yeah, you might feel like picking him in a good matchup, which this week was. That's why I went for him. Also, I thought he wouldn't get subbed, and yeah, just found my way with him getting a try. Tuipulotu also getting a try, that moved into the top. Amatisero also getting a try, and I think Fabian Holland, yeah, he's the top one who didn't get padded out by a try, and again, he's just another player that's very solid. Then pretty quickly, we're sort of down to the guys who are in the 30s, so nothing interesting there. Now, looking at hooker, I went for Ioane Moanunu. thought he would go good this game. Again, a soft matchup, and he's a guy who's just really good around the park as well. You know, he can get turnovers, he can carry the ball well. You think he would go well in a game like that, but no, again, the ball was finding space out wide, so that's where it went. And yeah, Moananu left in the cold a bit, unfortunately, quite far down the list. Same with our other favorite, Riccatelli, only 19 points. Like, yeah, that was not a great game for the Blues at all. Jack Taylor actually topping the scoring with 47, not a gigantic score, but yeah, he is the top guy this week. Mostly off the back of these scrum points. Lately, Highlanders front rowers, they've been getting credited with a lot of scrums and getting good scrum points from that. So it's been really hard for me this year to kind of work out when teams are going to get those scrum points or not. Early on, the Force was getting a lot of them. But, I mean, lately the Blues have been good for it as well, except for that last game. So, yeah, I don't know what the logic is. Like, you can't pick props with a dominant scrum because then you get penalties and then you don't get the points. You also don't want to pick props in like a super weak scrum because then you get penalized. You're not getting points for that either. So yeah, you got to pick those sort of props who are in those mid-tier matchups where the scrums might be even and they'll get their ball back reliably, but that's always tricky in itself. But then there's other things to think about as well, like how good are they around the park. And yeah, had Alatoa this week. I believe again he got another try. He's just been a try scoring machine this year. Went for Satua, and yeah, the Blues just got owned, but I mean, 23 tackles, pretty solid effort from him in the end. Very coming in second. I believe he did have a start this week, yeah. And he's a player I like a lot. Fortunately, he hasn't started a lot this year. He's come off the bench a lot and still got pretty good scores off the bench, but he's one of those guys who's just really good ball in hand. That's why I liked him, but didn't fire when I picked him at the start of the year that often, but picked up later in the season. Good for him. Poreki pretty good on 41 as well. He's another hooker who's very solid. The Waratahs have missed him a lot. And then we sort of start to get to the guys in the 30s, which honestly is a pretty bad score for the hookers. And talking about the props, Tom Robinson was the top scorer this week with 43. Did not get a try, but got a lot of points for the scrums being won. Made a decent amount of tackles and got a couple of turnovers, which is what's really pushed him up and over the edge into the top spot. De Groot doing pretty well, 31. Highlanders props have been on a good streak lately, and yeah, it's just down to these scrum points, man. They're really getting a lot of these scrum points, making a decent amount of tackles as well because they are often on defense. Alan Alatoa coming in at 34, and then we're into the guys who are into the 20s, so not a lot to write home about there. Now coming over to my league, looking at the top scoring teams for the round 14. At the top we have Odie's FFN with 655 points. Pretty good haul. Looks like no boosters being used either. And yeah, just looks like players that were actually very solid. Reese, Lagana Masi, Radamai Tavuki Nipkins. Masi, top scorer in the midfield. Proctor not firing, but everyone would have had him. Captain Barrett, not the best captain, but could have been worse. I think a lot of people would have been picking Barrett this week because he's usually very solid. Artie Severe was so important to have Artie this week, and most people probably do. Hoskins working out really well. Leo Willie not so much. Wanga not firing this week, but everyone has him. Nick Frost pretty solid, and yeah, going with the Moananu pick as well, but got great picks in the prop slot as well. So yeah, just ending up with a lot of the players that were right up there in their respective slots, and that's sort of all you need to do. You don't necessarily always need to captain the guy who got the highest score. If you're just getting guys that are very highly rated for the round. Stone Date coming in second, 650 points, not far behind. Actually went for the McNichol pick. I love it. That paid off really well. Also had Tom Wright as well. Interesting. Didn't go for any of the wingers. No Toole, no Muirhead. Went for Tom Wright, and he was the one in that back three that actually paid off as well. Had the Proctor captain. I was really indecisive with my captain this week, but it was always going to be one of the Hurricanes. I was flicking between Proctor, Balin, Punavai. Roigard was probably the last one I was going to captain out of all of them, but he would have been the one to salvage my round. But yeah, definitely not a choice that bad choice there. Just, yeah, I don't think anyone saw this Hurricanes result coming. Also, Roigard, Barrett, Satutu, Sevilla, Leo Willie, Walker, Leo Weary, interesting pick. Fusatua, Alalatua, and Oananu. Yeah, just these outside back picks here really paying off. Getting McNichol and Tom Wright, that really carried you around. Stratford 44, also on the exact same score, 650. Went for the Ruben Love pick, and yeah, I mean, I did say Ruben Love was going to be a live option in my best picks video for the outside backs, just because he was always going to swap to that 15 jersey later in the game. Rodamai, Tavuki, Neepkins always solid. Severis did well. Actually went for Higgins and Sullivan, did not go for the Proctor pick, and that was actually beneficial this week. Higgins getting another 9 or 10 points. Roigard, Captain Barrett, also went for the Whailangi pick, really believing in the Usos in the back row. Went for the Riccatelli pick and hooker, not paying off this week, unfortunately. Did have Grace though. Tom Hooper very solid as well, so very good round there. And up the Canes, 1, 2, 3. Went for the Roigard captain. That is a huge play this week, and yeah, that's really carried you around. Also had Harkin, also had Billy Proctor. Went for Almore as well, interestingly. Also went for Corey Evans, really not working out this week, unfortunately. Severe Whailangi and Gleason. Like to see a Gleason pick always, and yeah, pretty solid this week as well. Lagana Masi, Tamai Falau, and Toole. Yeah, I mean, we talked about Lagana Masi. The way that game played out, I think he was a good pick, just a bit unlucky. Corey Toole, a little bit of a bust at 25, unfortunately. And I always say with the Brumbies, you never know which one of them's going to get the points any given week. They spread it around. And going for the Taumai Falau pick is super interesting to me. I don't know if a lot of people were expecting Moana to go as good as they did against the Blues. And Taumai Falau, he's been a real boom bust sort of outside back this year. So I think that's pretty brave going for that pick in that matchup, but it absolutely paid off. So well done. Really like the picks from up the Canes this week, not all the same stuff. And then Aussie Fools, 5th place, 647 points. Also had the Roigard captain, and yeah, like it feels so good to just land your captain on the guy who gets the most points in the round. And the outside backs, Reese, Ruben Love, Corey Toole, still pretty solid even though Toole didn't fire. Actually went for David Havili in the midfield. I mean, the way that game played out with the backs getting all the play, yeah, you know, definitely not a bad pick, I think, even though it didn't work out this week. And yeah, Balin got injured. That sucks, but a lot of people did sort of have him, so you're not necessarily losing a huge amount. Had Artie and Whailangi, Swain and Frost in the locks. Actually went pretty good with the props, getting 2 out of the top 3 there, so can't complain too much. But missing out with Ricky, probably a common mistake that a lot of people made this week. Well, not a mistake, but yeah, just unlucky really. 6th place kicked Sever Reese captain. Okay, I like that. Radamai Tavuki Neepkins, also AJ Lamb. Lamb could have gone worse, to be honest. 34 points considering how that game went. Yeah, definitely could have gone worse. Proctor and Sullivan, probably a pretty common combo there. Roigard and going for Harkin over Barrett. Yeah, didn't really work out in the end. Artie and Hoskins, a good core though. A lot of people going Leo Willie this week. Wasn't sure that would happen, but yeah, it's too bad he was a bit of a bust. Also had Cullen Grace, which worked out this week. 7th place, J-Ro. Also had the Bowden Barrett captain. Another love pick, Tom Wright and Severie. So yeah, just getting the right pick in that Brumbies back three. I'll be super interested to know why people went for Tom Wright, if there was a reason. I mean, these fullbacks, they do tend to have higher floors, even if they have a lower ceiling than the wings do, generally speaking. And yeah, I wonder if has something to do with that, you know, just preferring fullbacks in those tougher matchups that are going to be a bit tighter. But yeah, let me know in the comments, guys, if you know what your logic is when you go picking Brumbies back threes. But yeah, Love and Reese doing very well. A lot of familiar faces here. Had Ken Kotika as well. Might have watched my video maybe. If so, sorry mate, I let you down with that one. I did not see the Force struggling as much as they did, to be honest. So yeah, I was definitely out of step with probably a lot of expectations on how that match played out. Had the McWright pick. Haven't seen a lot of that so far, but yeah, he did really well. Great pick in the end. And we'll have a look at one more. Matua in 8th place. Had the captain Severie. Also went for Mac Reilly. I like that. Honestly, you know, I did think the Force would do better that game. I thought their back three would be in play, even though, you know, not necessarily the best options of everything available. But yeah, 45 is probably a pretty good score considering how things went for the Force. So yeah, a pick that worked out in the end. And again, Hoskins, Severe, Leo Willie, pretty common back three there. A lot of people going Leo Willie, which is interesting. I mean, it was a pick I went for as well. He was quite good, so not necessarily surprising. I'm just surprised that he's a feature in every single team. And then 9th place, Ramo. Again, more of the familiar faces. Lugano Matsi, Ratamaita Vukinikins, and Reese. And yeah, that exact same back row again. I might just flick through a few more just to see how consistent that was. Oh, Peter Larko pick. Okay, I like that in 10th place. Another AJ Lamb pick. Oh, Ravu Talmunda pick. Man, Ravu Talmunda, he was so good last year. Like, I've wanted to pick him so much this year. I think I might have when he first showed up on the scene, but I mean, the draw, they've really struggled this year. He hasn't had a chance to shine. Actually, though, I just noticed Captain Artie Sevilla. Wow. Oh, man, I love that so much, honestly. Like, yeah, captaining back row is always a little bit scary because they don't often go on to massive scores, and, you know, sometimes they don't even get decent scores, right? Even great back rowers, they can have a good game, but they'll still just get like 40 points or something. So it's always a bit scary captaining a back rower. But yeah, I mean, Artie, he's been in crazy form lately. He was in crazy form this game, went total beast mode. So yeah, love to see the Stones and captaining Artie Severe really paid off that round. So congratulations to you, Oscar. Anyway, guys, another pretty tough round for me. It's not the first time I've really doubled down on a team thinking they would put on a big score this year, and it just kind of blew up in my face. And that's been the sort of year for season of Super Rugby. It's been quite unpredictable, and whenever you think a hierarchy, the power rankings is emerging, you get a result that all just turns it upside down on its head again. So yeah, it's been an interesting year, that's for sure. But I hope you guys' teams went well. Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you have a good rest of your week, And I'll catch you on Thursday for the next best picks video. I'll see you then.